Hello, I am Dr. Eric Miller, Director of the World Storytelling Institute, which is based in Chennai, India. And I've just completed conducting a series of 9 sessions with people involved with the law, people who are lawyers or law students. And so I thought I would say a few words about what we did and what one might do in the future with this sort of work. I was doing workshops relating to story composition, storytelling, and story writing. So lawyers, like all of us, we need to be able to explain what happened simply and clearly when we're communicating with people. One way to explain what happened clearly is to really visualize the story events. And if the storyteller does that, the listeners will also be able to visualize the story events. This will help listeners to develop empathy and compassion for the story characters because they'll be emotionally involved through their visualizations. And we can put listeners in the positions of story characters so that they can experience how it feels to be a character at a particular moment in a situation. Telling in such a way, one can tell in such a way that the listener derives the meaning of the story that the storyteller intended. A listener will always create a unique set of meanings, but one can attempt to prompt the meaning that one intends, so that the listener will see it my way. That's part of storytelling. This is all play, imaginative play, making up stories, telling stories, exploring situations that might arise, and it enables one to practice, try out, test out responses and actions that one might take in real life situations. This is about seeing situations as they develop, as they might develop. It has to do with pattern recognition in social events and improving one's abilities to perceive patterns of behavior and in oneself and others. This helps one imagine, anticipate, and prepare for various possible outcomes. It's like planning moves in a chess game because you have to think about consequences. If character A does such and such, character B might counter by doing such and such, and then character A might do such and such. So one can get in the habit of thinking step by step and thinking ahead. Story work and play can improve one's abilities to access one's imagination, one's creative self, to think outside the box, as they say, to solve problems, and in general, to access material in one's unconscious and in the collective unconscious. This can help one be a more resourceful thinker and person, to be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat, as we say of magicians sometimes. So we did a number of meditation and visualization activities, including one called active imagination, where we invite some image to come up from the unconscious, and then the participant might engage in a conversation with that object. That object might be able to speak, might be personified, and then one might engage in a conversation with that image or object. So this sort of work is very different from normal teaching and learning, especially in a formal academic system. People are much more accustomed to giving yes or no answers and to giving answers that are correct or incorrect. Here, it's all about sharing thoughts and feelings. So every answer is good as long as it's sincere. But it takes a good deal of courage to share one's thoughts and imaginings with a group. So some of the law people were more, it was easier for some than for others. But I think people became more aware of their own personalities, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, their own personality traits, their their resiliency, their coping mechanisms, their patience, and where these traits came from, whether from picking it up from elders or through other means. We didn't go too much into performance styles, but that's something we could do in the future. Speaking slow or fast, speeding up, slowing down, and especially taking pauses. Taking pauses is a very powerful technique in public speaking, and storytelling is one form of public speaking. When we pause or strike a pose, everyone is wondering what's going to come next, and everyone imagines what might come next. So if it's done well, you can really draw your listeners in. So that's slow, fast, we can speak with low pitch, high pitch, we can speak fluently and smoothly, or we can speak in a halting, self-conscious way. And some very fine public speakers will speak in a halting way at moments and then relax and get into it. And that can be a very charming back and forth between fluency and halting speech. One thing that we did numerous times was I would invite participants to write or draw about something individually, silently, while they were still in the main room. And I even invited them to turn off their cameras so they could do this in privacy. Then I asked them to turn their cameras back on, and I placed them in breakout rooms where they could discuss with one or two other people what they had written about. And then they could come back to the main room, and if they wanted, those who wished to could share with the entire group what they wrote about, and drew about, what they talked about, and now they could share it with the whole group. For the future, I really would recommend looking at case studies and acting them out. You know, we could have a prosecution team, we could have a defense team regarding historical cases, famous landmark cases, and also imaginary cases that might deal with any social issue. So in that way, we could really work on storytelling performance as a performance method as well as the content. Okay, this has been Dr. Eric Miller giving some thoughts about story, work, and play with people in the law. Thank you very much.